Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up every morning, looking out into the world, but feeling as though you don't truly belong. No one to call when the darkness hits. No one to celebrate the victories with. No one to lean on when it feels like the weight of the world is too much to bear. What does it mean to live life alone? To be a man with no friends? To have no one beside you to witness your journey? Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you might say, I don't need anyone. I'm good on my own. But ask yourself this, is that really true? Is it really possible for a man to survive, to thrive, without the support, the encouragement, the challenge, and the love of others? Loneliness is something we all experience at some point in life. But for some, it becomes a constant companion. Imagine for a moment what it must feel like to wake up every day and face the world, but feel as though you're not truly part of it. You walk through life without anyone to confide in, without anyone who truly understands your struggles or your joys. That emptiness, that sense of isolation gnaws at you. It affects how you think, how you act, and how you see yourself. It's more than just being alone. It's about being disconnected from those around you. It's a profound feeling of being invisible in a world that constantly demands our attention and presence. When a person has no friends, they're often left to navigate life alone. There's no one to share their victories with, no one to catch them when they fall, no one to talk to when they need to vent or express the emotions they can't otherwise put into words. In a society that thrives on connection and communication, to be without friends can feel like being disconnected from life itself. It's not about simply having people around you, but about having genuine, meaningful connections that make you feel valued. When those connections are absent, you begin to wonder if you even matter in the grand scheme of things. And the essence of loneliness, in this sense, isn't just about physical solitude. It's about the emotional and mental isolation that creeps in when you feel as though no one truly understands or sees you. There's a deep vulnerability that comes with being friendless, a constant questioning of your worth and place in the world. People may smile, they may say hello, but it's easy to tell when those words are empty, when the connections are surface level and not rooted in trust, love, or mutual respect. It's the kind of loneliness that digs into your bones, that makes you question what's wrong with you. What happens when a person feels as though they have no one to rely on? It can be easy to fall into despair. Without someone to talk to or turn to for support, the weight of the world starts to feel unbearable. It may start with the small things, the missed birthday wish, the ignored message, the awkward silence when you enter a room. But over time, those small instances add up. They build a narrative in your mind that you're unworthy, unlovable, and insignificant. And in the absence of companionship, those feelings begin to consume you. The psychological toll of being without friends can be immense. Human beings are social creatures. We thrive on connection. We need it for our mental and emotional well-being. When that connection is absent, feelings of depression, anxiety, and hopelessness begin to take root. It's easy to spiral downwards, to isolate even further, to convince yourself that the world would be better off without you. But what we often fail to realize is that loneliness is not a permanent state. It's not the end of the road. It's a temporary place where we find ourselves, but it's not where we have to stay. Loneliness may be a harsh teacher, but it can also be a moment of awakening. It forces us to face ourselves, to dig deep into who we are and what we need. It compels us to reevaluate our choices, our behaviors, and our patterns. It opens the door to personal growth, to the realization that we are capable of so much more than we think. In the depths of loneliness, we can find our inner strength, our true selves, and the courage to reach out to rebuild, and to form the connections we need to heal. Friendship is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It's the invisible thread that connects us to others, providing strength in times of difficulty, joy in moments of triumph, and understanding in the world seems impossible to navigate. It shapes who we are, who we become, and how we see the world. When we have people in our lives who truly care for us, we feel seen, heard, and supported. The power of connection is something many of us take for granted. We often don't realize how essential true friends are until they're no longer there. Life is unpredictable. It throws challenges at us, some big, some small, and having friends to face those challenges with can make all the difference. Friendship provides perspective. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that others have walked similar paths and emerged stronger. When we share our burdens, we make them lighter. When we share our joy, it multiplies. That is the gift of friendship. The ability to experience life together, to create shared memories, and to walk side by side as we navigate this unpredictable journey. But the importance of connection doesn't stop there. True friendships also encourage growth. They push us to be better, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to challenge ourselves. A true friend doesn't just stand by your side when times are good. They call you out when you're wrong, support you when you're down, and believe in you when you doubt yourself. These connections inspire us to reach our full potential, to see beyond our limitations, and to strive for greatness. Without these people in our lives, we are often left adrift, unable to see our true potential or take the necessary steps to achieve our dreams. Moreover, friends help us understand ourselves better. We often mirror the behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs of those we surround ourselves with. The people we choose to have in our lives influence who we become. The right friends will help us reflect on our values, challenge our assumptions, and broaden our perspective. They help us see ourselves clearly, sometimes showing us the strengths we didn't know we had, and sometimes revealing the weaknesses we need to work on. Through these connections, we grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In addition, friendship provides a sense of belonging. In a world where so many of us feel disconnected or alienated, being part of a group of friends creates a sense of community, a sense of place. It reminds us that we matter, that our thoughts and feelings are important, and that we are deserving of love and connection. These relationships offer us a sanctuary from the chaos of the world, a safe space where we can be our authentic selves without fear of judgment. They provide comfort in the hardest of times and celebrate with us in our moments of success. They give us the courage to be vulnerable, to express ourselves openly, and to know that we are accepted for who we are. Without friendship, we lose a crucial part of our humanity. We are social creatures built to interact, connect, and collaborate with others. Our lives are richer, fuller, and more meaningful when we share them with others. The power of friendship is not just in the good times, but in the difficult moments as well. These bonds ground us, give us strength, and remind us that we are never truly alone. When a person lacks meaningful relationships, they often face an internal struggle that goes beyond simple loneliness. It's an emotional battle that can be deeply unsettling, one that forces them to confront the emptiness that exists within themselves. There's no one to talk to when the weight of the world becomes too much to bear. No one to offer a listening ear or a comforting presence. It's not just the absence of physical companionship that hurts, but the emotional vacuum that follows. When someone has no friends, they find themselves constantly questioning their worth, their place in the world, and whether anyone truly cares about their existence. The internal conflict is a powerful and often silent force. It makes people question every decision they've made, every step they've taken. They start to wonder what went wrong, why they ended up alone. Was it something they said or did? Was it a flaw in their character? The self-doubt becomes overwhelming, and with it comes a sense of guilt and shame. The mind begins to play tricks, convincing them that they are undeserving of connection, that no one would want to be friends with someone like them. These thoughts take root and grow, leading to a distorted perception of reality. It's easy to believe the lie that being alone is a reflection of personal failure, when in reality, it's simply a phase, a season that can change with the right choices. This internal conflict also leads to a sense of isolation that is not just physical, but psychological as well. A person without friends may begin to withdraw further from others, closing themselves off from new opportunities for connection. The fear of rejection, of being judged, or being misunderstood keeps them from taking the steps necessary to build new relationships. Even when they meet new people, the fear of being abandoned or hurt causes them to hold back. They may be present physically, but emotionally distant, afraid to open up and risk being let down once again. Over time, this avoidance becomes a cycle where they push people away, yet long for connection at the same time. It's a paradox that many struggle to break free from, unable to see that their fear of rejection is, in itself, the very thing that perpetuates their isolation. This internal conflict also influences a person's actions and decisions. When there's no one to confide in, decisions become more difficult to make. Without trusted friends to offer perspective or advice, a person is left to rely solely on their own judgment. This can lead to mistakes or missed opportunities as they navigate life without the benefit of others' experiences and insights. Moreover, the lack of emotional support makes it harder to cope with setbacks. Every failure, no matter how small, feels magnified. And without someone to remind them that they're capable of overcoming challenges, it's easy to become discouraged and give up. In contrast, having friends to lean on provides the reassurance that setbacks are temporary and that success is still within reach, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. And this internal battle also extends to a person's self-promise. Without the affirmation that comes from friends, the encouragement, the laughter, the shared experiences, it's easy for someone to feel invisible. They begin to question their value, thinking that if they had worth, people would naturally want to be around them. They wonder if they're too flawed, too much of an outsider to ever fit in. This self-doubt can take a toll on mental and emotional health, leading to a cycle of negative thinking that is difficult to break. The longer a person remains isolated, the more ingrained these thoughts become, making it harder to believe in the possibility of change. In the face of this internal conflict, it becomes clear that the absence of friendship is not just about being alone. It's about the toll it takes on the individual. It affects their mental and emotional well-being, distorting their perception of themselves and their ability to engage with the world. This struggle, while deeply personal, is one that many face at some point in their lives. The good news is that this conflict doesn't define them. With time, self-reflection, and the courage to reach out, they can find a way to break free from the cycle of isolation and rediscover the power of meaningful connection. When we talk about self-reliance, we often think of it in terms of independence, the ability to stand on our own 2 feet, to handle our own problems, and to navigate life without depending on others. While self-reliance is an important and admirable quality, it is essential to recognize that it does not mean complete isolation. It does not mean rejecting the support and companionship of others in the name of self-sufficiency. There is a fine line between being independent and being alone, and understanding that line is crucial to our well-being and personal growth. A man with no friends might pride himself on his independence, thinking that he's strong enough to face life's challenges without the need for others. He may convince himself that he doesn't need anyone to help him. That relying on others is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, no one can do it all alone. Life is filled with obstacles, moments of doubt, and circumstances that require the guidance, support, and love of others. Self-reliance is about the ability to manage oneself, to make decisions, and to take action. But it also requires the humility to recognize when one needs assistance. True strength lies not in doing everything alone, but in knowing when to ask for help, when to lean on others, and when to admit that we cannot do it all by ourselves. When a person is without friends, they might not realize that they're also missing out on the opportunity to grow through others. Relationships are a mirror reflecting both our strengths and weaknesses. Friends are not just there to celebrate our successes. They are there to offer constructive feedback, to challenge us when we're wrong, and to push us toward becoming better versions of ourselves. In the absence of friendship, there is no one to help us identify blind spots, no one to provide honest, constructive criticism, and no one to help us navigate the difficult decisions we face. Self-reliance, in this context, can easily become a trap, where a person believes they are solely responsible for every aspect of their life, when in fact, growth comes from collaboration and interaction with others. Moreover, the absence of friendship can lead to a skewed sense of self-reliance. A person might become overly reliant on their own judgments, which, without the input of others, can become clouded by biases, insecurities, and fears. While it's important to trust one's own instincts, it's equally important to engage with others to gain perspective. Without friendships, there is no one to offer a different viewpoint or challenge the way we see things. We become trapped in our own limited understanding, unable to expand our horizons or consider alternative possibilities. True self-reliance doesn't mean shutting others out. It means having the confidence to seek out advice, to accept help when needed, and to trust that our decisions are informed by both our own experiences and the wisdom of those we trust. Additionally, the absence of friendship can take a toll on a person's mental and emotional health, which in turn affects their ability to function independently. Humans are social beings, and the emotional support of friends is crucial to our resilience. When faced with challenges or setbacks, it's easy to lose faith in ourselves, to question our abilities, and to feel overwhelmed by the burden of it all. Friends are there to remind us of our strength, to offer encouragement, and to help us keep moving forward when we're struggling. Without that support, self-reliance becomes more difficult to maintain. It's harder to summon the energy and willpower to push through adversity when we feel alone, unsupported, and disconnected from others. In this way, the lack of friendships can actually undermine one's sense of self-reliance, making it harder to persevere in the face of life's challenges. The key to self-reliance, then, is finding a balance between independence and interdependence. It's about learning to rely on ourselves while also acknowledging the value of others. A person with no friends may believe that they are strong because they face the world alone, but in reality, true strength lies in the ability to build connections, to accept help when needed, and to allow others to be a part of our journey. Self-reliance is not about isolation. It's about being able to stand firm in our own abilities, while recognizing that the strength of those around us can help us rise even higher. We are stronger together, And a life that embraces both independence and meaningful connection is one that has the power to thrive. In a world that constantly pushes us to strive for success, to be strong, and to stand out, the idea of transformation is often met with resistance. People who find themselves without friends may feel like they're trapped in an endless cycle of loneliness and despair, convinced that their situation is permanent. However, the truth is that change is always possible. No matter how deep the isolation may feel, no matter how long it has lasted, there is always room for growth and connection. The hope for change is a powerful motivator, and it's something that can help break the cycle of loneliness, turning it into an opportunity for personal evolution and new beginnings. The first step in transforming one's situation is recognizing that loneliness does not have to be a permanent state. Many people who feel isolated or disconnected from others often find themselves convinced that their situation defines them, that they are unworthy of friendship or love. They may feel like they've been abandoned or rejected, and that no matter what they do, nothing will change. But the key to overcoming loneliness is understanding that it's not an inherent part of who we are. It's a challenge we can face, an obstacle we can overcome. By acknowledging the possibility of change, we unlock the potential for a new chapter, one that's filled with meaningful connections and deeper relationships. The hope for change also lies in the realization that transformation starts from within. In order to break free from isolation, a person must first look inward and examine the beliefs, habits, and behaviors that may have contributed to their current state. Sometimes the walls we build around ourselves are a result of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, or fear of getting hurt again. But these walls are not permanent, and they can be dismantled with time, patience, and the courage to open up. Transformation begins when we let go of the negative beliefs that keep us stuck in our loneliness. By recognizing our worth, by acknowledging that we deserve to form connections, and by being open to new possibilities, we create the foundation for change to take place. Reaching out is the next critical step in the process of transformation. It takes courage to break the silence and initiate new connections, especially when we've spent so long feeling alone. But the simple act of reaching out, of showing interest in others, can be the first spark that ignites a new friendship. It's important to remember that transformation doesn't always happen overnight. It takes time to build trust, to form bonds, and to establish the deep connections that make friendships so meaningful. But every small step, every gesture of kindness, every conversation adds up. The more we put ourselves out there, the more likely we are to encounter people who appreciate us for who we are. People who will value the connection and offer the same level of support and understanding that we seek. In addition to reaching out, transformation involves changing the way we view ourselves and our relationship with others. People who are isolated often view the world through a lens of scarcity. They believe that there's not enough love, not enough friendship to go around. But the reality is that there is always room for more connection. There are countless opportunities to meet new people, to form new relationships, and to experience the richness of human interaction. When we approach life with an abundance mindset, believing that we are worthy of meaningful relationships and that there is always room for growth, we begin to see the world differently. We no longer view our loneliness as a curse, but as a temporary phase. A phase that will soon give way to new beginnings, new connections, and a new sense of purpose. Hope for change also brings with it a sense of empowerment. When we recognize that we have the power to transform our situation, we begin to take control of our lives in a way that feels both liberating and empowering. The journey of overcoming loneliness and embracing meaningful connections is not one that happens in isolation. While the desire to befriend others, to build relationships, and to share life's experiences is natural, it is also essential to understand that these connections require effort, vulnerability, and patience. The absence of friends, though painful, can serve as an invitation to delve deeper into the complexities of our own emotional landscape and personal growth. It is through understanding our own worth, overcoming fears, and learning to trust ourselves that we can begin to cultivate the kind of relationships that matter. At the core of this process lies the need to nurture a sense of self-worth. For many who find themselves without friends, there is often a deep-seated belief that they are unworthy of connection. This belief may have been reinforced by past experiences, rejections, or feelings of inadequacy. But building healthy relationships begins with recognizing that we are worthy of love, understanding, and companionship. The journey toward creating meaningful connections starts from within by nurturing our own sense of self-worth, by understanding that we are enough, and by giving ourselves permission to seek the relationships we deserve. It is this inner affirmation that allows us to take the necessary steps toward building the trust and vulnerability required for genuine friendships.